If you follow me on the other socials outside of where you watch or listen to this podcast, you know that I have made an announcement that I will have a guest on the next episode of To Boldly Pod. My buddy Paul is going to join me, and we are going to discuss the Mount Rushmore of professional wrestling tag teams. So that should be a fun little episode. And I'm sure all of you will probably enjoy a podcast where it's just not me talking the whole time. Because Paul, honestly, is very knowledgeable about a lot of things, but specifically wrestling. And he's very entertaining, humorous, and engaging. So I look forward to that episode. But for this one, initially I was going to talk about the totality of season 1 of Star Trek Starfleet Academy, but I'm going to wait a couple of weeks on that because I want to give it one more rewatch before I sit down and sort of do my culmination episode. But things have been happening this week in science news, I suppose, but worldly for that matter, that lend me the opportunity to come on here and chat about it because, as some of you know that watch or listen to this podcast at any point over the past 10 years, I am a believer in some fringy topics, but I've often called myself the logical skeptic when it comes to it because I don't just immediately believe something, nor do I immediately disbelieve something. I like to have a little bit of, shall we say, evidence to sort of substantiate my belief system. And even within that, I'm still somebody who, when I get that evidence, I don't automatically claim everything of a certain topic to be 100% factual because there's a lot of disinformation, a lot of fakery, quite frankly, especially in this day and age of short form videos. And this big long setup, you're probably thinking, what are you talking about? Well, you probably heard over the last week or 10 days that there have been a strange amount of meteors falling to Earth's surface. And we're going to get to the science of the whole meteors falling in just a little while. But within that, of course, there are people that are digging out the conspiracy side of that. And we'll also get to that in a little while. But if you don't know what I'm talking about, over the past 10 days, there have been numerous meteors that have fallen to the earth, like these in Ohio right here. And those in and of itself, that's a pretty big meteor to break through our atmosphere and hit the ground. Thankfully, it didn't damage anything. It landed in an open area. And of course, people are out there trying to scoop up any remnants that they can possibly find. And the funny thing about meteors falling is it's kind of like earthquakes. Whenever there's an earthquake in a non earthquake area, specifically here in the Midwest, that anytime there's any sort of earthquake within our region, And people that live in earthquake areas will probably laugh at me for saying this, but usually when we get earthquakes here, they're extremely light in comparison to where, say, people on the West Coast and other places get earthquakes. So it's not the point of the earthquake, it's the idea that people will say, for example, the epicenter would be in Detroit. There'll be people in the north part of Michigan saying they felt it. And that's, 300 miles away for a small little 2-point earthquake. So, no, they didn't. But that sort of thing just sort of brings people to the forefront of wanting to fit in. And that's fine if that's what you like to do. I have no issue with it. I just think it's humorous that it happens. The same thing is happening with all of these meteors falling over the past few days. And you saw the clip I just played of the one that fell in Ohio. Actually, there was a couple that fell in Ohio over the past week. And there's people here in my area, and I live in Michigan, but I'm about an hour and 15 minutes away from the border of Ohio, and about 2 to 2.5 hours away from Cleveland, depending on which route you take. But people in my area where I live are claiming that meteors fell here too, or part of that same meteor that you saw fell. Like, no, no, it didn't. But that's all right. I got off on a tangent there. There was also some that fell in Texas, and that one was a little different than the one I just showed from Cleveland because this one actually landed in somebody's house.
Well, the skies were clear in Houston Saturday when some were surprised by loud thunder-like booms. Then a possible meteorite crashed through the roof of a suburban home, tearing through 2 stories and landing in the kitchen. NASA said the booming sound was a meteor breaking apart as it sped by at 35,000 miles an hour.
So that would be quite an eye-opener just to be peacefully sitting in your house and all something crashes through the roof of your house and lands like that. You might think we're getting bombed or something like that. So yeah, that would be kind of weird just to have a meteor crash through the house. And you may be thinking to yourself, what's the big deal? We get stuff that falls to the earth every single day, which we do. And we're going to get to that here in just a little while. But all of these meteors are bringing out the conspiracy theory crowd. And it kind of, it's just like puzzling. It's like they're just waiting to bring up another type of conspiracy. Well, let's just listen and take it from there.
So we have meteorites falling out of the fucking sky everywhere in the United States. And you're going to tell me that NASA doesn't know anything about this?
Oh, I'm sure they probably know of all of the debris that falls to the earth each and every day. But radars are only so good. They're not going to pick up every little speck that falls to the earth. And you saw in the previous video how small that little chunk that fell through the house was. And like I said, radar detection is only so good. It's not going to pinpoint a match on the cover of the moon, but people like this gentleman probably don't think we've been to the moon anyways. But meteors are falling, and here they come, blaming NASA like they do for everything.
Don't you find that strange? I find it fucking strange. Because for how many months now have they been telling us about fucking 3-eye Atlas?
Yes, they have. And they've also been telling us that there's nothing to worry about with Three Eye Atlas, or before that, Oumuamua, or the one that's allegedly coming in a couple of years. So, yeah, you in one side, you're acting like they're hiding everything. And on the other side, you're accusing them of scare tactics with Three Eye Atlas.
And now we have meteorites falling out of the fucking sky, and they're quiet. I find that fucking crazy. Some people are speculating that this might be Space Force. You know, we do have a Space Force.
We kind of have a Space Force, but you're the person that probably thinks we have all of these Star Trek and Star Wars type ships up there already. And that's really not the case. But you go on and continue to believe that.
And that they may be shooting down enemy satellites.
No, no, they're not.
And vice versa. Maybe they're shooting down our satellites. And that's what we're seeing fall into Earth. You know, they like to make movies to prepare us for what's coming in the future.
Do they? Or does Hollywood steal from real life when they make their movies?
You remember War of the Worlds? You remember when those fucking aliens came to Earth and they thought it was meteorites? Not saying it's aliens, but you never know. What do you think?
I think you're searching for something to make a conspiracy, because you saw the clip that I played earlier of the news report. Didn't look like an alien, didn't look like a chunk of a UFO. It looked like a hunk of meteor, which is exactly what it was. And like I said, we're going to get to the explanation of everything in a scientific manner in just a minute. But there's a lot of people like that guy out there that see a conspiracy around every single corner. And I admit I'm intrigued by conspiracies. And I've said before that I don't believe 99.999% of them. A lot of them, I think, are completely contrived and just grow a life of their own. But then there's other people that just seem to think that everything in life is this grand cabal, and they just can't accept reality for what it really is. So, no, there's a reason that we are seeing so many meteors falling, or hearing about so many meteors falling. And I'll be honest, I didn't know this until I saw this next clip. And I did a little sort of post research about it, and the clip is 100% correct. I never knew that. But I'm not going to step on their toes. I will let them tell you themselves.
All of a sudden, there's fireballs across Ohio and the rest of the world. A 6-foot, 15,000-pound chunk of asteroid 4 Vesta hit Earth's atmosphere over Cleveland last week.
Okay, previous clip, you heard the gentleman claim that NASA didn't say anything. Well, you just heard her tell you they know exactly what asteroid these came from. So, which one is it? They're staying quiet because they don't know anything about it, or they're trying to hide it, or is she telling the truth? It's up to you to decide.
And it burned up in the atmosphere, sending little chunks of space rock all around Ohio. And then just yesterday, Earth hit about 97,000 pounds worth of stuff in space, and almost all of it burned up and vaporized in the atmosphere.
Which the vast majority of things that fall to the Earth do, because they have to work through our atmosphere. And you can kind of see those examples when a space shuttle is coming back to land, or any sort of rocket. You see the force of the atmosphere that it has to go through in order to get back down to Earth.
That's because that actually happens every day. Earth is constantly slamming into debris in space as it orbits the sun, but these are extra bright. They're called fireballs. Fireball meteors hit Earth every day, but the vast majority of them are over the oceans or uninhabited areas because that's most of Earth. And some of them are masked by the sun as well. But scientists predicted that we would see these huge fireball meteors this week, and that's because, for a reason that scientists aren't 100% sure about yet, every year around the vernal equinox, these fireball meteor occurrences increase by about 30%.
That was what I looked up after I watched the video. I never knew the whole vernal equinox thing about the meteors. I just find it very interesting.
The vernal equinox was last week, so that's why we're seeing more hit Earth right now. But also, everybody has a phone and a security camera and a dash cam, so we have way more eyes on the sky right now. But it's fine, it's cool, it's normal, but your wishes on a shooting star probably have to mean more.
And she's 100% correct on that last section because we all are carrying our cameras around in our hands every single day, 24 hours a day, it seems like. So everything gets filmed. So it's more prevalent in this day and age when everyone has their cameras right attached to their hip, for lack of a better phrase. So there's no grand conspiracy. There's no NASA hiding things. There's no Space Force shooting down satellites or aliens, as that previous guy mentioned. I've talked about that before in our mini series that we just wrapped up. That if aliens are truly going to take over our planet, I'm pretty sure any sufficiently advanced planet or species or invading army will vaporize this entire planet before we even knew what was happening. If they have that much of an advancement in technology than we have, we wouldn't stand a chance. It's not Independence Day where Jeff Goldblum's gonna fly up there with his Apple laptop and upload a computer virus into. Sorry, I love the movie, but that was such a 90s way to defeat the aliens. But that's not going to happen because they're so far advanced from us. If they were going to take over our planet, we wouldn't stand a chance. So no, it's not the Space Force that's up there like, James Bond Moonraker having battles in the upper atmosphere because Space Force, let's be honest, hasn't even left the ground yet. And it probably never will anytime soon. But that's a story for another day. We're talking about the fireballs and the meteors. And like she said, there are hundreds of thousands of pounds of space debris that fall to the earth every single day. So it's interesting about the vernal equinox. I didn't know that until I watched that video. So that is intriguing, but is it a grand conspiracy? No, it's just interesting to people like me and others that love learning about things from space and sort of get excited a little bit when meteors fall. That's one of the good things about everyone having a camera in their hand these days. Stuff like that gets filmed and we get to see it on social media. So, what's up with the meteors? It's not a grand conspiracy, it's just something that happens in everyday life. Falling into a house, yeah, that would be freaky. That would be scary. I wonder if that's covered under your insurance if a meteor falls through your house. And to close this whole thing off, we were talking about it at my day job this week, and one guy's like, "Yeah, those are you get a chunk of meteor, you get a ton of money because they'll pay you a lot of money for them." Well, no, they probably won't, unless you find some museum that's willing to pay you, which is going to be rare. More times than not, they just want you to donate it for scientific study. They might offer you a little bit, but you're not going to get rich. It's just more of something cool to have if you happen to have a chunk of meteor. So just enjoy the show while it happens. And remember, everything in this world isn't a grand conspiracy. But most people that see conspiracies around every corner probably think that I'm just a shill doing the cover-up work for the man or whatever. I don't have a closer for this, so I'll just simply close with thank you all for checking this out. If you enjoyed it, click like and subscribe and share if you prefer to spread the word. And it would be greatly appreciated. Honestly, it would. I don't have a closer, so I'll just simply close with the sky is falling. I've done better.